Morning, everybody. Welcome to Excel Today. It is August 10th, 2022. And Joe is still the B by popular demand. You guys keep voting for him to be the B. So he's staying the B.
I love it.
How you doing
I
today, Joe?
I am doing awesome. I am super excited for today's topic.
Yeah, me too. I see Priyanka is saying, please hold the class topic on Excel. Priyanka, we did have a poll that ran throughout starting on Monday, and Python is still currently in the lead at 39%. So it is going to be Python, intro to 3 data types. Power BI came in second with 34%, and Excel came in third with 27%. So we'll definitely do something Excel-based next show, Priyanka, but today is all Python. Joe, are you excited to do Python? I know you've been learning it, and we've been talking about it, and you're super excited about it. So I know this is a talk we already had about the data types and just how everything gets bracketed in and everything like that. So
Oh
you
yeah.
ready for today?
Yeah, I'm going to be showing you every single type of Python data type that I can think of. We'll be going into so many different things like integers, floats, strings, lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries, Booleans, and yeah, I'm just going to give you like a nice little overview so you could get started on knowing the different data types that are available in Python, and then we'll go into testing those types as well. So we'll have a lot of fun with it, and you won't. I mean, I'm sure you won't be coding after this class, but maybe you'll have a better foundation to start to grow in Python, which is just an amazing language.
Yeah. And it's another one for Excel data analysis course. We do have actually quite a few data analysis courses that were previous live ones. I think we just did one just a little while ago. So if you want to check our channel and just type in data analysis or Excel data analysis, we do actually have, I think, 3 or 4 shows just on that. So Shashank, you can start there. Today is going to be all Python. Just some quick channel updates, guys. Actually, not too many updates. Everything's kind of set in stone right now. We're just keep rolling on with the Office 2021 videos. Those will keep coming until the end of September, and then we'll have Captivate. I'm still looking to get After Effects made, guys. I know that's a big one that a lot of people want to have. It's one of our probably top demand thing is for an After Effects class. That's coming. We'll get that made soon, hopefully. We do have a ton of Tableau videos being made as well. So more data visualization for you guys, especially people who are users of Salesforce. Salesforce? Yeah, Salesforce owns Tableau. You guys might want to, it might be a bit relevant for you on that side of things. I think I have 6 to 8 Tableau videos being produced right now, so those will be coming soon as well. The shorts are still there, guys. We're pumping out the Excel shorts, Photoshop shorts, and design shorts, and also PowerPoint shorts, all done by Joe. Most of the Excel ones are done by you as well, Joe. So if you want more, Joe, you can have bite-sized doses of them on our shorts. Those release every 7 a.m. Pacific time and also 3:30 p.m. Pacific time every day. So we got 2 videos for you guys every day. That's about it on the channel updates. Nothing major coming down the pipe. I think I did list last time that some of our older videos we removed just because they weren't doing, they were just old videos. That's all I could say. But anyways, that's it as far as the channel is concerned. Joe, as a B, I know you don't have a mug. I don't have a mug either, but I have a Gatorade. I'm trying to rehydrate this morning. So that's my thing. Also, you guys can purchase the mugs in the shop down below. It really helps us out. And then also, please like, subscribe, and comment. And then, we got more.
Oh yeah.
One more question: is this class on integration of Python with Excel for data analysis? No, we're gonna be talking about the 3 different data types of Python. We're just gonna start off with a kind of an intro to Python here. We're both relatively newbies to it, I guess I would say the best way to put it. So I know there's integration you can do with Python in place of VBA. I see it all the time, and whenever we have a VBA topic or something like that, a lot of people say like, "Hey, you can just do that with Python." So we'll get there, guys. We'll get there soon about integrating Python with Excel and everything like that. Today's just going to be data sets. All right, Joe, turning it over to you.
Awesome. So yeah, today we're going to focus on Python 3's data types. There's quite a few of them. I'm just going to give you the basic ones. So we're going to talk about how each type of data that you input into, whether it's a notebook or if you're actually coding it live, how we can differentiate between those data types and what makes them unique and different from each other. So we're going to start off from the basics and then get into some of the more advanced stuff within the next 25 minutes. So with that said, I'm going to just share my screen here. And then once you can see it, you should see this Jupyter notebook.
All right. Good to go there, Joe.
Awesome. So I'm using this Jupyter notebook. It's one of my favorite notebooks because it allows you to really see the output once you do the input immediately. So this is great for practicing your code and seeing, okay, so if I put this into the input, what is it going to run when I run it as an output? So the first type of Python data type we're going to talk about is something called an integer. Now, an integer is just simply a whole number, right? So if I wanted to, I can create an integer by just simply typing in, let's say, for instance, I want to create an integer that prints out. So what I would end up doing in this is I would just say something like, just put in, we'll say, for instance, x is equal to 2. All right. Now, when you're doing these inputs, you do have to hold down the Shift Enter key, which is nice. So Shift Enter, and it's going to now accept that. Now, if I run X by itself, so if I just put the X in there and I do Shift Enter, it's going to give me the output of 2, which I love. Once again, this is great for learning. And if I wanted to see if this is the correct data type, I'm looking for an integer. What I can do is I can use a type command by typing in the word type, putting in parentheses what it is, right? So I'm going to put the X in parentheses. And when I do Control Enter, it's going to tell me that it's an integer. So if you're ever wondering, okay, what is this? Or if you're seeing a lot of code and you're like, I wonder what they were doing here. What kind of data type were they using? You can then go into using that integer. So I really love, once again, Jupyter. I recommend you download it. It's one of my favorites in terms of learning Python. So that's what an integer is. It's just simply a whole number. Now, the next type of data is going to be known as a float. And a float is just simply decimal numbers. So for instance, if I wanted to say, I don't know, I'll use f for float. I'll say f is equal to, and then I can put in, let's say, 1.5. And now I'm going to use Shift Enter to accept that. Now, if I call f just by typing in f, the output's going to be 1.5. And if I wanted to see, once again, what is the type of x, I'm going to do type, open parentheses. And you'll notice that when you do these open parentheses, it completes it on the other end. So it's really Python's way of helping you out. It's like, oh, we don't want to have you open a parentheses and have to close it. Open it up and then type in your f, and it's already closed. And now when I do Shift Enter, we see that it is a float number. So integers, whole numbers, floats are decimal numbers. Now, more types of data that you're going to run into, and you've probably heard this, especially in Excel, is strings of data. Now, a string of data is simply an ordered sequence of characters. So when you're typing in formulas in Excel, you've probably ran into this problem here. And let me just grab my annotation tool here, just so I can talk to you about it a little better. So you've probably, when you've written out like a formula in Excel, like if you've done a sum if, you could do equals sum if, you open up the parentheses, or if maybe you're doing like a text feature or an if statement, you've probably seen stuff like this where you do a text feature, open it up, and then you put it in a string of text. Or if we've used an if function, we've probably said if, the monthly goal, we'll pretend it's in F2, is greater than or equal to whatever's in F6. Well, if that's true, then write yes. And you see how I have to put the yes into quotation marks? Or if it was false, I would have to put no. These are known as string of texts inside of Excel as well. So you probably are familiar with these. And if not, no worries at all. you can see here that strings of text are just simply telling the computer that, hey, this is a word or a character of words or some sort of ordered sequence of characters, sentences, paragraphs, but we have to put them in quotes so the computer understands it. So that's exactly what a string is. And let me just pull this back up here. Okay, so we're going to create a string. I'm going to first name it. Now, you've seen that I've been using these variables like x or f, and you can use these throughout your entire code, which is really amazing because you're pretty much the creators of your code. For instance, if I told you all that from now on, whenever I say la la, that means hello. So if I say la la, everyone, what would your response be? Well, most likely it would be Lala, because now we're forgetting the word hello. Lala is the new word for hello. So same thing here. I'm saying that no longer am I saying 2. I'm saying that x is equal to 2. So anytime you see an x, you already know that's a 2. Or anytime you see an f, you know that's 1.5. So same thing here. I'm going to create a variable for a full sentence. I'm going to say let's do my underscore, because you can't have spaces, string. So you can do that, my string, or you could just write string, whatever you like. And I'm going to do my string is equal to, and I'm going to type it as string, and I'll just say hello, everyone, just like that. And now I'll use shift enter to have that in place. So now the rest of my code knows this. Now, if I just type in, let's say I do my string, and I use shift enter, it's going to say, Joe, this is what the string is. Hello, everyone. But if I actually wanted to print this string out, we're going to use what's known as print command. So if I do print, and then I open my parentheses, and I type in there that I want it to print my string, once I do that, you'll see it just comes out as hello, everyone. So there is a difference from just calling a variable like this, where it says this is what's inside of it, a string of text, or printing it, which is actually going to print it out without those quotes. Now, if I once again want to see the type to make sure I'm doing this right, I could do type, see what is the type of my string, and hopefully it's going to say that, well, yeah, it's str, it's a string of text. So you'll notice some of those, like f is a float, it'll say float fully, but like an integer, it will abbreviate int, or a string of text, it'll abbreviate to str. So far we've talked about whole numbers, which are integers, decimals, which are known as floats, and ordered sequence of characters, which is known as a string. Now there's also an ordered sequence of objects, which is, well, of course, all together doing, okay, integers, floats, strings, anything that you want, we're going to put it in a list. Now to create a list, you're going to use what's known as square brackets. So for instance, let's create a list. I'm just going to use L for list. So I'll say that L is equal to, and we're going to use square brackets to create a list. So whenever you see square brackets, just know, hey, listen, that's a list of data. Now in the side of this list, I can put floats, I can put integers, I can put strings, whatever I want in here. I could put something like this. Let's say I'll put my name. That's a string of text. You're going to separate each entry by a comma. I'm also going to put in here, let's say, my age. So nobody mind my age. All right. That is going to be a integer. And then I'm going to put a comma, and let's put my birthday, 7.22. We'll put it like that so it's a float. So in this list of data, I have 3 things. I have strings, I have integers, and I have floats. And you can have as many things as you want in a list. It's actually an ordered sequence of objects. So if I wanted to, I can actually put 2 strings. I could put 2 floats. I could put as many things as I want in here. Now, of course, I'm going to use shift enter. And now I know that that's my list. And if I call L, it's going to say, here's your list, Joe. Your name, an integer, and a float. And I'm like, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Now, there's so many things you can do with a list of data. There's like so much more, like slicing lists, being able to index lists, things like that. So we're not going to get into that today, but if you wanted to, of course, down the road, we can talk about strings, indexing, creating lists, and being able to, tear lists apart with indexing as well. So yeah, we'll talk about that maybe in another day. All right. So with that said, now I just want to test that this actually is a list. So once again, I am going to check it. I'm going to say, okay, type is L. And when I do Shift Enter, it tells me, Joe, it's a list. And I'm like, yes, all right, we're feeling good already. I'm doing it right. So whenever you want to test something, always use that type function there. So let's move on. What else is there? Well, there's also something known as a tuple. Now, a tuple is very similar to a list, but there is a difference between a tuple and a list. A tuple is an ordered, immutable sequence of objects, and a list is an ordered sequence of objects. Now, I know what you're saying. Joe, where are you going with this? What does that even mean? So let me explain. So in a list of data, a list is, once again, an ordered sequence of objects. And those objects can be strings, floats, integers, whatever you want it to be. These can actually be changed. So for instance, if I said to myself, okay, L is equal to, and I use my brackets, and I'll put in Joe, and then I'll put in, for instance, my age, and then I'll put in, for instance, my birthday. Maybe later on I decide, you know what? I actually want to change this list. I want it to be not my birthday because I don't want people to know my birthday. I just want it to be today's date. So I can reassign L and I can change that list to be my name. And there's a way of doing this. Of course, this isn't the way. I'm just using this as an example. If you want to learn more about changing and updating lists and mutating them, you can. But I can now change this list to this because that's today's date. Right? So lists can be changed. They can be updated. Tuples, on the other hand, tuples, or you can tuple, whatever. A lot of people always argue about that. Is it a tuple? Is it a tuple? Whatever you want to call it. There's no right or wrong on that one. But a tuple is, once again, an ordered, and I'll just write this, ordered sequence of objects, but they're immutable, which means we cannot change them. What they are is what they are. There's no changes. There's no way to update them. And you might be wondering, well, Joe, why would somebody want to use a list versus a tuple or a tuple versus a list? Well, it's simple. If I want to use a list, at least I know I can change it. But let's say I'm writing a code and I'm trying to be more advanced in my code and I don't want anyone messing it up. Like maybe Ben's going to come over and say, ooh, I want to change this list. Well, if it is a list, Ben can change it. He can update it. But if I put it as a tuple, Ben can't change my code. So you'll notice that in more advanced sessions in Python, a lot more advanced users start to use tuples because they don't want their code edited in any way. So that's the major difference between a tuple and a list. But how we actually write a tuple out is instead of using the square brackets, as you can see I've used in a list, a tuple uses parentheses. All right. So I'm going to create a list again. Or I'm sorry, I'm going to create a tuple. I'll call it T. And I'll say T is equal to. And now I'm going to use parentheses for this. And I'll say that T is equal to hello. Once again, you'll just separate it by a comma. I'll do I'll do the year, 2022. And I'll do today's date as the float. So I'll do 8.10. And then I'll use Shift Enter so that it acknowledges that it's inputted. Now, if I run it, if I just put a T and I just run that, it'll tell me that this is my tuple. And if I want to see that it's a tuple, I just do type T. And look at that. It tells me it's a tuple. So brackets, square brackets is a list of data. And those square brackets, what I like to always think about is they're an ordered sequence of objects. Tuples, same thing, ordered sequence of objects, but you cannot edit them. Those are in parentheses. Okay, let's keep going with this. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about, another data type, is called a set. And a set is an unordered collection of unique objects. So it's unordered, and the way that we display this is by using curly brackets. So I'm going to use S for set, and I'm going to create my curly brackets, and we'll just put in a couple of different objects here. I could do like, I don't know, whatever I want. I could do like a 1, I can do a 2, 3, let's do a A, let's do B, and let's also do C. And once again, make sure that when you're doing these, you are separating by commas. So you have A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. So once again, this is an unordered collection of unique objects. There's no order to them. So I'm going to run this, Shift Enter. I'm going to pull S. It'll tell me that this is the output. And then if I wanted to see the type of S, I run that, it will tell me that it's a set, right? Which, once again, unordered. So a little different from lists and tuples, which are ordered sequence of objects. The sets are unordered, and they're all unique. All right, so if I even put like, let's say if I change S to have like a couple of 1s in there, let's do a couple of 1s. I'll do 1, 1, 1, and then 2, 3, ABC, and then I run this. It's still going to display 1, 2, 3, ABC, because remember, this is just unique objects. So for instance, it's telling me how many unique values are in here. It's not going to just keep repeating the 1s. It's going to say, Joe, there's only 1, 2, 3, and that's it. All right, so just unique values. Now, the next part that I'm going to teach you about is dictionaries. So dictionaries are unordered, but the way that a dictionary works is they have a key value, and then they actually have the value. So it's kind of like me assigning keys, right? So for instance, the best way I can put this is I'm going to say something like name. And then I would put in that the name is going to be my name, which is Joe, right? And then I can do age as a key, and then the value of that key is going to be 37. And then I can keep going. Favorite color, maybe. So I could say favorite color. And then the key, the value for that key would be blue, because that's my favorite color. So this is just setting up a dictionary, which is unordered key value pairs. So let's say, for instance, that I want to create a dictionary. The way to do this, I'll use D as the variable, is to use, once again, curly brackets. So I'm going to use curly brackets, very similar to a set. But in the curly brackets, I need to first name the key. So I'll use that example of name, and then I'll put a colon in there, and now I'm going to give it the value of that name, which is Joe. Now I'm going to separate it by a comma. Next key value is going to be, let's say, my favorite color. And once again, we want to make sure that's all in string of text. And there is no, I'll do something like that, favorite color. And then my value is going to be blue, just like that. Okay, so now I'm coming up with the key. And then I'm coming up with the key's value. And now I'll just run this, make sure it goes in there. I'll do a D, and we'll see that's the key. And now what I can do, if I want to test this out, this type, I could just type in my variable, and you'll see it does once again abbreviate, so dictionary goes to DICT. All right, so the last data type within Python is going to be Booleans. Now, I really like Booleans because what it is a logical value returning true or false. Now, most of you probably know this from Excel. When you use the if function, that can be considered as a Boolean because it's a logical value returning, okay, this is true or this is false. Do something different when it's true, do something different when it's false. So it's very similar to that if function. So a Boolean, I mean, I could just simply say something like 2 is equal to 2, for instance. And if I run that in there, it'll say, well, Joe, what's that actually mean? But you cannot assign a literal, so I don't understand what 2 is equal to 2 is meaning. So you have to just make sure that you use 2 of these equal signs when you're running this instead of using 1, because it's thinking that you're saying, well, here's the variable, just like we did up here where I said x is equal to 2. It's getting confused. It's saying, Joe, you're doing an integer is equal to an integer? That makes no sense. So that's why when you're doing Booleans like this, you have to do 2 equal signs. So 2 is equal to 2, and it returns true. And I can run this all into a variable. I'll say b is equal to 2 is equal to 2, just like that. So now if I pull up b is going to just be returned as true. All right. So we're saying b is equal to 2, which is a true value. If I did something like this, where I did a 3, well, then it would return false, right? Because 2 is not equal to 3. So depending on what that variable says, now I can do the type, and it's going to come over as bool, which is just an abbreviation for Boolean. So once again, I will type in the b there, do shift enter, and you'll see that type is a Boolean. So this is really amazing information as a foundation for Python data types. Now, as I said before, I do recommend using Jupyter Notebook because you can see automatically when something happens, like an input, output right away. And if you made a mistake like I did over here, it'll even tell you, hey, Joe, look at this. You cannot assign this to be a 3. It makes no sense. So that's why I have to use the double equals. Or I could have used other logical expressions here. Like I could have done 2 is less than or equal to 3. And if I run that again, b is now true because 2 is less than 3. If I did 1, well then if I run that and I run that again, it would change to false. So it does update your actual output, which I think is amazing. But I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope you have a little better understanding of the different data types you can use. I mean, there's just so much more you can do with this. Of course, when you're doing integers, you can do, math. You can do all different types of things with variables. You can do strings of text and then print those texts. You can slice those text. You can get into indexing as well. So there's so many different topics on Python, but this is just the foundation of knowing, okay, these are the different data types. And once you start to understand those, what are sets, what are tuples, what are lists, dictionaries, you will have a better understanding of how they work individually and also how they work together. So I really hope you enjoyed this. And with that said, I'm going to just stop sharing my screen here. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. As always, I learned a ton. I know some extreme basics of coding and all that type of stuff. I'm from way back, not like the COBOL days, but
Oh, I love it.
when like the internet first came out and everything like that. I remember that. Showing my age, I remember when the internet was new. But I remember just jumping into super basic HTML type stuff and everything like that. And that it is a code. It is a markup language, I guess.
Oh yeah, HTML, CSS.
Yeah, all that good stuff. Yeah. We did get a lot of requests earlier for next week's show to be on an Excel topic, and we will return to the topic of Excel, guys. Joe, I was just kind of, while you were doing that, I was just kind of thinking of some topics. I was thinking maybe we jump into the lookups or something like along that line, or maybe even slicers for next week's show, just to kind of delve into, hey, you have your data set. Let's take a deeper look. That sound good to you?
Sure. Let's do some data analysis. We'll use some of those data tools. So I'll show you how we can use XLOOKUP because that's, like I said, one of the newer ones. I'll also show flash fill because if you don't know flash fill, it's super helpful and super amazing. And then also, like Ben said, changing your data into a table. There's so many benefits, and then we can create slicers. So I think we'll do that. We'll change the data into a table, raw data into a table. I'll show you all the features. I'll show you how to create a slicer, which is a filter, button filter. We'll go into XLOOKUP and we'll go into flash fill.
All right. Sounds good to me. I hope it sounds good to you guys. We'll be jumping into a fully formed data set and just show you guys how to get more out of your data. I know that's an extremely popular topic. I did have one question for our people watching. Is just as far as data entry, were you looking for also maybe possibly techniques like, how to do enter data quicker, how to type faster, stuff of that nature? Just because I have a course that I've been looking to get created and turned into a video series, and it's kind of more based on exactly data entry, how to do it faster, which functions are geared towards just getting the data in quicker. So I don't know if that appeals to anyone, but please let us know in the chat comments below if that appeals to you. It's definitely something I've been trying to get made for a little bit here. I just wanted to know if you guys were looking for it. Thanks, Joe is the best. PS, but why B? So the B started because there was a issue where Joe was filming. It looked like he was in a cave. You guys wanted to be able to see his face, so we used the B in place of it. And then we've kept running a poll if Joe should be the B again next week, and everyone keeps voting yes. So that is
to be the B.
That's why he's the B. We're giving you guys exactly if you vote, voting's important, guys. That's why Joe's the B still. And Joe, I did run it. It was only 6 votes this time, but they did say yes to the B again. So the B is coming back until the poll goes the other way. The B is here to stay. Let's see. Zane says yes. Data entry technique is great to know. Okay, yeah. So. Yeah, I figured that was because, we can look into the data of how a lot of people get to our channel, and that was one of the top ones. And I just wanted to make sure that it was relevant and it wasn't, something that people were searching in air or anything like that. So we'll definitely look at getting that course built out. But yeah, that's it for me today. I know we're a little bit over. Usually we take questions. Well, we took the B question, I guess, but we're already over time. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you next week. We'll figure out a time and a date, but we will be here next week. All right, guys, have a great weekend.
Amazing. All right.